SEO This Week. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 197 of SEO This Week. My name is Clint Butler. Thank you all for joining me. This week we're going to talk about new PPC tax that was passed over on the East Coast of the United States. Pretty interesting. Talk a little bit about user intent and a whole bunch more news stories, 6 in total. And then I got a cool thing that Google has released. I don't know if it's been around for a while. I just found it myself. So we'll check that out. And then we'll round out last week where I tried to show off rank gear. We'll get rank gear shown off for you guys today. So hopefully that all works out. Everard, welcome. Mario, welcome. Jesper, welcome. Thank you guys for joining me live. As always, I appreciate it. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and just get this ball rolling. Here's the post. As always, you can see it. Find this on SEO This or SEO This Week's latest episodes in Digitaleer on Digitaleer.com. If you're going there just from the homepage, go to click on the blog, and then you'll find the latest episode, or just click on any episode and you'll find the recent post over on the sidebar there. Pretty easy to get you there, and then all the links that I reference in the show are inside of there, with the exception of rank gear. The URL is in the description of the video on YouTube, or you can go to rankgear.com/schema, or just /schema, and then that'll get you there too. I'm signed in, so no sense in giving you that whole URL. All right, let's get on with this. First one article is from Search Engine Journal. It's 18 more SEO issues that cause search rankings and traffic to drop. Interesting choice of title. 18 more would imply that there's a whole bunch more articles on this topic. I haven't or was not able to find the supporting articles for that, but there are a couple of things that, I think if you've been in the SEO game for a while, you pretty much thought about all these things. But there are some interesting things that kind of presented along the lines of, hey, this is new, right? So one is freshness. So 1 and 2 in this list of 18 has to do with freshness, i.e. you haven't updated your site in a long time. Local businesses, you're all probably mostly going to fall into that category. You create a site about being a plumber or your plumber business, for example. You're not exactly out there making content and doing content marketing campaigns, right? If anything, you would be probably more benefited by doing a YouTube channel and showing you working on stuff, doing your plumber stuff. And so you won't necessarily update your website. The problem comes in is that Google is smart enough to know that you're not going to have time to do that. So freshness doesn't even apply to you. Once your site is up, really it's about establishing where you are, getting customers, getting reviews from those customers. Maps is going to be a play, but freshness, not so much. Another one in here is significant changes to your content. You haven't made any significant changes to your content, and that just goes back into freshness. And you, as local business SEOs or local business webmasters or even local business owners, you just kind of got to understand that Google gets it. So if you are a plumber in Yuma, Arizona, and you're also a plumber in El Centro, California, and you also offer the same services in, Mexicali, Mexico, Google kind of knows that you're going to say what services you offer, and there's going to be very slight differences. So the changes in your pages or the differences between your pages is really not all that expected from Google. However, on the other flip side of that, if you're a news website and you're not putting out new content every day or on a regular basis, where you're an informational website where you're targeting a lot of, date relevant terms, and the search results will tell you that you don't necessarily have to worry about this madness either. You do have to worry about freshness, and you can get a benefit about freshness versus a local business or a local business website owner. And then there's some other things in here. You updated your web design. I'm just going to shoot through because the pop-ups and all that crap and their ads are horrible. Robot text causing issues. That would imply that you actually change your robots text. I don't know anyone in their right mind that would go and do that unless they're moving a website or something like that, or revamping an entire thing. Why you would change your robots TXT file, but hey, check it. Why not? Links removed for sites. These are off post reasons is links removed for sites. That's called link decay. For those of you who are uninitiated in link building, because you write the greatest and wonderful content and everyone just links to you naturally. The concept is called link decay. So whether you build it naturally or by default, eventually at some point, website owners are cleaning up their stuff. They're deleting sites. They're deleting pages, etc., etc., and doing the same thing you are. And in that process, you lose backlinks. Don't take it personal. It's just link decay, and you got to get it cleaned up. So that's why you have to justify to your clients, if you're doing clients, or boss, if you're working in house, why you should have a promotion system that includes link building for your content, new and old, to maintain rankings, much less get new ones. And then this last set here is on disavow file, negative SEO. I don't know anyone that is really good at negative SEO anymore, so it's not so much of a big deal. But disavowing good links, that one actually gets pretty good. Right, and that's come from people just going through and looking at their backlink profile and not cleaning stuff up. Excuse me. Jeez. I'm by myself all day and I don't talk, so now I do the show and it messes it up. You accidentally disavow Google. It says it can happen, but I've yet to see an instance of where it did happen. That seems a little odd, but okay. I guess if you're going full on crazy, then go for it. And you embedded your analytics tag incorrectly. That's an interesting thing. That's happened a lot. I've dealt with a lot of websites where they changed the analytics accounts and didn't update, and that caused issues. So I could see that one. So that's that article. It's pretty interesting. Let's see. Second article, Search Engine Journal again. Google battles fraudsters, vandals as map breaches 970 million submissions. First off, fraudsters and vandals is pretty much the, I'm going to use air quotes here, the white hat rallying cry against mass map generation. Mass map generation is used for nefarious reasons, but for the most part, people that are using mass map generations kind of fall into a couple different categories. One, it's a small business trying to compete with Google favorite sites like Angie's List, Home Advisor, Yellow Pages, Yext, etc. And the maps give them an opportunity to do that. So they'll create one for their business and then create a couple or more for their service areas. Or they'll create quote-unquote fake business areas, addresses, which in order to get the postcard from 9 times out of 10, you got to have a real address. So, but they'll create those fake addresses and use that to have, 5, 10, 15 maps in the city, supporting their business, thus addressing proximity and location of searcher, et cetera, and the various things that affect Google Maps rankings. The next crowd is the nefarious crowd. We'll just go ahead and talk them up. These are the people that have hijacked business maps. They're changing phone numbers. They're, posing as that business because that business owner was not attentive enough, and Google's system allows them to hijack it. And that can cause a lot of issues for everybody, the consumer and the business owner around. And then finally, there's the affiliates, and those are the people that are making, 1, 2, 3, 4,000 maps across the country or the world, and generating affiliate calls, supporting sites that gather and sell leads. Number one sites that gather and sell leads happen to be Home Advisor and Angie's List. Home Advisor has an affiliate program, and you could tie most of the map span directly to Home Advisor affiliates, who are in turn selling the leads to Home Advisor, who in turn sell it to the business. And then on top of that, they sell it to 3 other businesses. So you're competing for essentially maps ranking phone calls with 4 other people. All in all, at the end of the day, the only one I really have a problem with is the people who hijack maps and steal links and change phone numbers and stuff and pose as businesses. Affiliates, that's what their job, it's what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be getting phone calls so that business owners can do business with people in the area who need that service. And likewise, the small business who has one or multiple maps for their business is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Marketing their business, getting that business out in front of the right people at the right time, and solving their problems. However, there has been a lot of campaigns and stuff, and those campaigns kind of lead into this clickbait article title of Battles, Fraudsters, and Vandals, and saying that they reached 970 million maps. They also said that they're approving like 20 million maps a day. I think it said in here somewhere. I got that number somewhere. I think it was Twitter, where they're approving like 20 million maps a day. But in the last year, they only removed 3 million fake business profiles. They only closed 610,000 user accounts, and let's see. They closed 30,000 reported business profiles and took down 960,000 reviews, and stopped more than 3 million business profile verifications from unassociated users. So in the grand scheme of things, that's like a drop of the bucket. And I don't expect Google to ever take Google Maps seriously as a place to police. No matter how much people praise them or try to embarrass them, they're never going to do it, because it just drives revenue for ads. And they know that if there's people that, i.e. the affiliates that are making money for the Home Advisors and all that stuff, that are the favorite darlings of Google, which is why they rank in front of actual real local businesses, that they're going to get money for ads for local businesses. And money for ads from local businesses is ultimately where the big chunk of change that Google makes. I would argue to say that it's probably a majority of their income. Sure, those larger brands will pay a whole lot of money, but those local businesses combined pay way, way more. And so the harder it is for local businesses to compete, the more it is that they have to buy ads to get the traffic from Google. So don't expect any praises from me for them doing this half-hearted attempt at cleaning up maps. It is what it is. Next article, 22 rules for writing and distributing content. This is from Practical E-commerce. One of the topics in here that I talked about before is Google Journalist Studio. When that first came out, I'm still playing with it, seeing if there's a way to leverage that, kind of build an author profile and establish yourself as a subject matter expert, etc. And I think we might be able to do that with Journal Studio, just setting up the account and tying it with different things, etc. But I'm still playing with that, and the verdict is still out there. There are some other tools that are listed in here. Review, that's an interesting one. It's lets writers and publishers send and monetize newsletters. That might be something worth checking out for sure in your market. You do have to pay for a fee, 5% based of the revenue that your newsletter makes. But I guess if they give you a publishing platform, then why not? It's kind of worth 5%, I would say. And then some other ones, Medium newsletters I didn't even know about. And there's a blog for Medium too that you kind of help you out. And then Answer Socrates was another one. I could have swore I've been to Answer Socrates before. But basically it's kind of like Answer the Public, and you just give it a question, and then it'll go through and find a whole bunch of more questions for you, and you can kind of build out from there. So if you like, there's people's also asked, some Google Trends data, can I, will I, what, who, what, when, where, and then tons of different versions. This is really helpful for keyword research too. I'm not so sure about questions. You kind of got to filter through a lot of this stuff, but you can get into that. You can get a lot of questions and stuff. But anything, it's free for now until they follow the Answer the Public model and get everyone hooked and then start charging for it. But take advantage of it while it's free. Next one, News Search Console associations. I have a link to the brand verification inside of the episode notes. Check that out. But it's short. You can actually connect Google Analytics, which we knew, Google Ads, YouTube to Search Console, Play Console if you're doing that kind of stuff, Actions Console, which is verifying your brand, which is part that I'm interested in, and then the Chrome Web Store if you publish apps and extensions to the Web Store. And you can put all those inside the Search Console now. Why is that valuable? In the days of entities and building entities, why would you not do this? So you connect your website to Search Console. You say, hey, Google, this is my brand's website. Then you connect your YouTube channel, and you're getting views and engagement on YouTube. And hey, Google, this is my YouTube channel. Look, I'm real. And then you do the verify your brand and enable cross-platform functionality in the brand verification documentation. It tells you how to do that right here, and it's really easy. Add your Google Map, or for most businesses, you can get away with adding a Google Map, and now you've associated your brand. And you know that works when you actually do a brand search and you start seeing knowledge panels and your exact business map showing up and all that stuff. You know you've done a good job, and if you've established your entity inside of the Google database, you have a Google machine-readable ID number now. And this is just one more step to polish that off and knock that out. So if you don't do anything in the other thing, I would actually go through this brand verification process. I'm going to be doing that to my news sites, my affiliate sites, my sites, and then we'll walk through the process so the clients can actually get that done as well. It's just one more time, just to make it all together and connect the dots for Google to say, look, hey guys, we're real. We deserve a little authority, expertise, authority, and trust. Well, we're building trust right now, and that's what we're going to do with this brand verification tool. So check that out. Keyword Hero. That's an interesting ad. Look at that. Huge ad block. Anyway, next one is Search Engine Land. Facebook unfriends Australia. Maryland passes an ad tax. This is I don't know if you guys knew or know, but in Australia, Facebook is no longer showing news websites, and they're not allowing them to be shared on their platform. And as you see by the example here from Lily Ray, an SEO who puts out, well, frankly, he puts out news about SEO, is no longer allowed to share his URL on Facebook. So I guess that on the good side, he knows he's got a news site, and Facebook believes that he's got a trusted news site. But on the bad side, people in Australia, he can't show it to you. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Brody Clark is actually from Australia. So that's pretty interesting. But there's that, and I guess there's some things going on with Google, and they made some head runs and made some deals to try to get Google News to stay in AU. But the interesting part of this whole article right here is Maryland is the first state to tax digital advertising services. So under their definition, is banner advertising, search advertising, interstitial advertising, and other comparable advertising services. So, as I'm reading that, it's really pay-per-click. So if I sell banner ads via impressions, and this law goes through, I have to pay, and I'm doing business in Maryland, I have to pay tax for that. Or the buyer has to pay taxes for that, because everyone knows that that's going to be passed on to the end user, and these big companies aren't going to pay for it. Search advertising. If you're in PPC, you're doing Google Ads, and you're in Maryland, your advertising is going to go up because now you got to pay. They're going to have to pay tax. Interstitial, that's going to be the same. In short, right now it looks like everything but SEO, because SEO is an advertising cost, but is it direct advertising? You're paying for the optimization work to be done in order to have greater exposure in the search engines. So I don't know. That would be an interesting question. But right now, if this law actually makes it through the courts and it's actually good, you can pretty much expect that all the rest of the states are going to carry on with this and start charging for PPC, especially in the Democrat states who like to go out and reach out and grab everybody's money that they can so they can blow it on dumb shit. Republicans are not innocent in that fact either. But I expect that, California, Oregon, Washington, New York, and a bunch of those other states will jump on this really, really quick if this passes the legal reviews and lets it go through. The legal side is the Internet Tax Freedom Act is pretty much what blocks a lot of this sales tax and use tax from being activated in the United States by states. Sales tax, obviously, in some states have managed to apply that in their arguments, but this one is actually attacking or going after advertising. And you see, in Google's case, they're going to be paying like 10% of their advertising revenue that's sold in Maryland to Maryland as a tax. And that's going to get passed on to the consumer, right? So they're, in general, let's just say that just Maryland does it. Google's going to plug that into everybody's, and they're going to plug that in, that extra 10% into everyone's PPC costs and jack the PPC costs up as a whole. Just because, that's kind of what they're going to do, and then they'll profit off of the difference. And then when all these other states pick up, they'll figure out another way to squeeze some more money out of you. So just expect that, or keep an eye on it, see what's going on with it, follow along on the lawsuit to actually block it, and we'll see what happens from there. Let's see. All right, and here's the last one. This is actually a pretty short article. It's Optimizing User Intent for Content Tuning. Is by Kevin Kindig. In short, here's what he says. He goes over how a website can rank for multiple keywords. That's all everyone really wants, right? So I have this one page, and it's ranking for 100 keywords, for example. And he's saying that the reason that you're ranking for 100 keywords is because the user intent for that search is somehow addressed currently by a portion of your web page. So you've met the user intent part. And that's kind of sound, right? So let's go, if I'm looking for a invoice generator app for my phone, and there's any number of other keywords that could get me to that same thing. I'm still looking for an invoice generator app, but I'm looking for the best invoice generator, the best free invoice generator, the top invoice generator app. And so my one page can rank for multiple things because Google and their algorithm is working on figuring out what is the intent for the search query. Not what is the intent of your web page. what is the intent for the search query? And then how do I take the content? And then looking at your content, I'm getting all sidestepped here, looking at your content and saying, does this page meet the intent of that search? And if it does, we're going to show you to a whole bunch of things. Now, one thing in here he mentioned is a process that I've been teaching forever, is particularly give it to my marketing console clients, is that's using Search Console data to figure out where you're ranking and then go after your quick wins. That's the process we all talk about, those quick wins. And this is pretty much how I teach people to do it in Search Console. So it's not really all that hard. You just open up Search Console, click on impressions, CTR, and positions, and this one is clicks. I'm not looking at clicks because this is ranking I'm talking about. Impressions, impressions, CTR, and position. And really, you don't even need CTR for this. You just need impressions and position. You don't look for the last 30 days. You turn it on for the last 3 months. The last 30 days is if you're doing this process every month, and you're probably, if you're starting with a new website, you're going to do it every 30 days. But if you're working on a continuous project, it's going to be the last 3 months. You're going to look at it, and you'll do some overlap, etc., right? But you look at those, and then you find everything that's in my case, I use everything that's below position 4 and up to 20. Below position 3 is kind of redundant for me, because if I'm in the top 3, now I'm playing with CTR, and I want to mess with my titles and try in my meta description to get in more rich snippets with schema, etc., to increase my CTR, and let Google move me up to 3, 2, and 1. Sound is gone for me. Can you hear me? Test. How about now? Better now? How about now? Can you hear me now? Testing. Can you hear me now? Is it better? I changed microphones, so let me know if that's better. That's weird. All right, let me switch it back to the other one. How about now? Is that any better? No? Is it worse? Alright. How about now? No. Got it. See? I shut off. Everything to this is. All right. Back on the regular mic. So now I'm going to have to record this whole podcast over again for the oh, come on. So sickening. I'm really tired of this crap. All right. How's that? That clear that up? No, I couldn't. I can't, Sean, because I record in the Roadcaster and I had to shut off the Roadcaster in order to fix that. Oh, F you, tech. You know what? It's because I was talking shit about Google and how they're gonna get you guys later. So they got me, bastards. Okay, so let's get back to this thing. All right, so what I do is I look at the last 3 months and I'll find a query, and then I'll sort by impressions. And look for the highest number of impressions and then just work my way down. And once I get to a query that looks interesting to me, and I'll stay on the Invoice Generator app, Invoice Generator app keyword, for example, I'll click that and then it locks it into the filters. And then you switch over the pages and it tells you which pages, if any, are ranking for it. You know those pages ranking. And we also look at what the average position is. It's an average. Position is kind of, relative in Search Console. It's just an average from everywhere. If the number reads between 4 and 20, my impressions are high, then I'm going to go after trying to rank that page in the Search Console. Typically what I do is actually use those other queries as my anchor text. What Kevin Indig is suggesting is you actually go in there and update your content and make the page more relevant to the keywords that are in the quick wins group. Both probably work. I just find that my way is a little bit less work because I can build links a lot better, easier than I can changing a piece of content that's optimized for a specific keyword already. So when you add those words in your anchor text profiles and you add them to your schema, that whole thing works out a whole lot better. Yeah, Christoph said Data Studio is great for drilling into Search Consoles. Totally correct. You can actually just say everything that I did or he did here. You can create a dashboard that'll do all those filters for you, and you just kind of run through there and knock yourselves out. Or just do it the lazy poor man's way, is download the Excel and do some filters. I'm not even into that. I just go in here and literally just set the filters and then find the queries that I want and keep all the good ones that have traffic. Typically, I'm looking for anything with 100 or higher. And then I'll turn those into my anchor text, and it seems to work really, really well for me. So it's good to see that Kevin Indig has joined the crowd and he's actually caught on to that whole little trick. The rest of this article is just kind of interesting, but at the end of the day, I just kind of saved you a whole lot of work in reading that thing. Alrighty. Data Studio lets you export more than 999 lines, which unlike Search Console do. Well, you can do more in Search Console. You just have to go back multiple days. Whereas Data Studios pull out via the API, and the limit's based set on the API. So, and both of them do not give you all the data. So it's multiple pulls over multiple days, creating multiple reports, and then you bounce those together. That's if you want to go full on with it and deep dive and get lost in the weeds of Data Studio, which I don't. So I just use the top 1,000 because typically the top 1,000 is going to have your highest impressions winners anyway. Is also going to have your highest backlinks in that backlink data pool from there as well. Let's see. Next is Rank Gear. How rank Fiverr gig. You can go watch Craig Campbell and Chris Palmer. They'll talk to you about how to rank up with Fiverr gigs, I'm sure. Okay, good. Sounds so good. Well, I still got you. Woohoo! Let's go on to Rank Gear. So, as I alluded to last week, and I showed you guys last week, I created with a business partner, and we found a really good dev, a schema generation tool that kind of bridges the gap between plugins, which are crap, and handwriting, which is hard, and makes it a little bit easier for you guys to get onto the handwriting bandwagon without so much necessarily having to worry about too much on the technical side. And so that what I want to do is show that off to you guys. I tried to show it off to you last week, and I couldn't sign in because I'm an idiot. But this week, I get that scored out. So before that, one last question. Do you use Search Console for internal links, external links? How accurate is the data? It's not really. The external links is a sampling of what they want to show you. There's been talk that the sampling is like 75% in Search Console of the real data. I think external links is significantly way less than that. And then the internal links is kind of the same. So at the end of the day, even their error codes and their you must validates and the mobile errors and all that crap, 9 times out of 10, when it throws an error in there, it's wrong. And you can retest it and it'll be fine. And you got to go through the whole validation process and everything. So the only value I ever get out of Search Console is impressions and average position in the queries, in the performance data. And that's, it's not 100% accurate to reality, because it's taking into account information from multiple searches, personalized queries, et cetera, et cetera. So that average position could be nowhere near where you see it. That's for one. And then there's a bunch of other issues with it. So I use that tool. It's not gospel. A lot of people preach to it and preach to newbies that as using, this is gospel. This is the way Google sees your site. Well, that's complete and utter crap because it's on a separate index. We've already proved that it's running a separate index than what's in the search results themselves. And then two, the data is not 100% complete. By their own admission, it's like 75%. Dan Taylor, he told me that. I don't know where he got that information, but it seems kind of right to me. 75% of what's truth. So just take it for what it is. And Christoph said, yeah, even the internal links seem out, which would seem to be the easiest. Yeah, they would. That would actually imply that they're going to index everything into the Search Console index, which is a supplemental index, in my opinion, to the primary index, which is what is used to pull data for the ranking results. So Search Console is a card catalog, then the index for the search results is another card catalog, and then the rankings is where they shuffled your particular book, your card, your web page in the card catalog analogy for ranking for whatever. All right. Any more questions on search engine on that? Because I'm not going to stop after this. Seems like we're done with those. All right, good. Okay, let's show you rank gear. Boom. Here you go. So it's rankgear.com /schema/login. That's how you get to it. And you can find that link in the descriptions. You sign up for an account, and then you pay for the subscription, and you're off to the races. So what was the vision? We know that plugins are giving a lot of substandard schema. And it's not their fault, because it's programmatically a pain in the ass to set up a full-fledged schema, doing abouts and mentions and citations and all that stuff, and doing it programmatically and be able to just pop that in there for a simple Simon to use. So there's a lot of tools out that kind of mimic that already. And you go to a FAQ schema generator, you go to a local business schema generator, you go to whatever generator you want, and you're going to end up with a form, and then you populate the form, and then you get your schema, which is all fine and dandy. And then along came another tool called Schema App. And if you've never used Schema App, it was, I think, let me see, this is probably a comparable. So you do Schema App and you come to this and you're like, okay. And then you got to go here and you put your question in and your answer, but that's on a separate database. You got to open another window because that's data. So you got to fill it in there. Then you come in and fill those drop downs in here. And then you want to do some more, and you got to go leave and fill the drop downs and do some more, et cetera, et cetera. And I found the UI in the early days completely horrid. And if you didn't work in it almost every day, you forgot the processes and you had to relearn it every time you went in there to use it. Recently, when we were developing this, I got another subscription to check it out again, and they're cleaning up the UI user interface in the back end. However, there's still a whole lot of that data, using data, saving it in one place and then applying it in other places, et cetera, which made it, in my opinion, just kind of a pain in the ass to use. And still, you had to train for a week on how to use it, and then play with it. And if you left it alone, you forgot how to use it and you had to start all over again. So I wanted it to make something that we could actually have a happy medium on, and that's what Rank Gear came in. And that's kind of how we designed it. I want someone to be able to go to this thing and actually be able to fill in the blocks, be able to get as damn close as you can to handwriting schema without actually handwriting it, but being able to do it is simpler, so you're not worrying about error messages and commas and the squiggly line brackets, opening, closing brackets, etc. This tool is still, it's not in beta. We already went through the beta process, but we are finding things as people are signing up and using it, some things that needed to be improved. One of those is download as text, and the other one is download as JSON file. Download as text is obvious what it is. You get a text copy of this, and then the JSON file is for people like me, or if you're in my SEO or my schema course, I like writing in Sublime, and I save all my files in JSON. So there you go. The JSON's there. Some other things that you can do, you can add all the fields that you want. You can add, and ultimately, we're going to make it so that you can move these around and drop them where you want to. And that's a feature that's coming from another user that is already signed up and on board. So how about we go ahead and knock one of these out? So I'm going to go to the FAQ page just because that was the easiest one. And I'll show you what you can do with it. And if you want me to make one for you, just pick a type. and then we'll go through and check it out. So with that, let's do FAQ page. And I'm just going to pick a random URL just because I have it. So see the ID. You have to know what this is. So most people teach, put your machine readable ID in there, put your Google Knowledge Graph number in there, put your URL in there, and all that stuff. That is not anything on what that does, and it doesn't tie into that that element in any way. And if you could put it in there 1,000 times until you're blue in the face and you're not doing shit. Basically, at the end of the day, is this saying this type FAQ page, this is the ID. So when you address it in other sections of the page, you use that ID and you tie it in there. And now you don't have to retype all your FAQ schema in this particular thing over again. But you do have to, in my tool, add your own section. So we're going to just write FAQ to tie it in. But if you wanted to, you could theoretically put a keyword in there, but you're going to have to keep track of those things when you do that. So that's, one of the cool things about this is it's already done. And then we want to add a question. We have the questions there and the answers there. It's already popped in. So we just got to go find one. I'm going to use that answer website. Answer Socrates. And why not? We'll just do this one. Who's Val Kilbert married to? And he is married to Everhard Strauss. And you can see over there, it's filled all that stuff in. And go back in. And I'll do 3. Put that in there. And you see the boxes in there, all the spaces, everything's in there. Yes, they have the same third cousin. I don't know what that means. Just seemed good. And one more. Can you play guitar? Answer. Yes. Okay, so that's all in there. Now, when I had this made, we wanted to be able to do this. Schema FAQ. If you've never seen any of my schema trainings and you're wondering why I opened this up, you go check those out. But in short, these are all required. Or here's the FAQ. It's a web page. And then you have this here. And then you have all these other supplemental things that you can add to it, right? So let's see if I can find an easier one. Let's go. While that's here, look at this one. Here's the difference. Question schema, it types it all in. It's doing essentially the same thing we're doing, but you can't go in and add this stuff. So description is one of the down here, in case all you don't know, anything down here from properties thing, it's all universal. You can use those on everything, right? So we got, I'm going to bust this into another window so you can see. And I need to make this a little bit tinier for easy use. So we can go name. We can do name. So name. And then it's a FAQs for Wilmer Valderrama. Why is that important? Let's say Wilmer Valderrama is my keyword. That's what I'm trying to rank for. There, I got it in there. Additional types, I don't need description. That's a good one. So we go find description. Put that in there. Wilmer Valderrama is a fine man. Okay. Disambiguated description. We're going to use that. Wilmer Valderrama is a fine man with a funny accent. Identifier, we can use that. If it's in the list, there it is. Identifier. And then we want to go Wilmer Valderrama. And then we want this. And we're going to tie it to Wilmer. Typically, I would actually use the machine readable ID, but you can use that. It's fine. Image. We're just going to find one. This seems good. So we can do image. You see, it's in there. Let's see. Main entity of page. We don't need that. Potential action. Same as. We can do same as. I'll do multiple. Why not? And you could use our Wikipedia URL. We can use his Twitter account minus the referral code. We can use his Instagram. You don't need the parameters. There you go. All right. And you see it's added it to the same as. Pretty cool. Now, let's say you have OCD like me and you want to keep the name and description the same up there together. Disambiguated description, the same as. We're going to put the identifier right there underneath the name, and then let's put his image there as well. So we could play with those and move it around as we go. And then we want to check it out. Hit the test button, and it'll run over here. Drop the code, and you push test. And we wait. Ta-da. There you go. It's all in there. Now, this is a thing with their test. Like you saw, we added the name. It's right there. Technically, it should show up in the unnamed item, but it doesn't in the test tool. It's just the default of the test tool. It's a little quirk, I guess is what you want to call it. But that's kind of the downside. All right, so I can download this in JSON or in text. No sense in doing that. Let's say I wanted to do this on a web page. So I'm going to just click merge to graph schema. And I talk about graph is at graph, and it pushes it all in. And now we're going to go and do web page schema. I'm just going to keep this real basic, but the URL we're going to use is the same one. This is a web page. And here it is. And then we're going to do this. And then Wilmer Valderrama. And then Wilmer Valderrama is a fine man. And then we can do more. We can do abouts and mentions, and you can add abouts and mentions if you want to. So let's say you're using topical relevance like I teach you guys to use, and hopefully you're still doing it. Go to this and just type in his name, Wilmer Valderrama. We'll get that data, and we'll be able to populate some of this stuff. So I can add about, and I'll add a mention. I'm just going to do 2 because if not, you'll see it's like a lot. I'll get to that at the end there, Christoph. So the name is Wilmer Valderrama. Boom. And I already have the Wikipedia in there, so I'm going to use the machine readable ID for him because he is an entity. And then I will go down here to mentions. And let's see, form, I search, actor, demi. I just want to find another I don't even know, but I would, obviously you want to research this stuff to make sure it's right, but we can drop that in here. And also we want to use the machine readable ID. Looks like this is the same. Yeah, this is the same. This is fine. Okay, and then we can drop that into that graph. You see, it's all right there. So remember when I was saying the ad ID? So right now, if I tested this, these should be 2 separate schemas. They're in the ad ID, they're in the graph, but the ad IDs are not leveraged properly to associate and create the associations. The FAQ is by itself, and it's saying, and the URL is there, but it's not saying it's on the web page. You can see this a whole lot better if I use structured data testing tool. See what I'm talking about. Copy. Run the test. See, there are 2 things, and the image URL is the wrong one, so we got to fix that. So there's 2 things. They're not tied together. But if I use the at ID the way that I'm supposed to, and this is an easy fix. It should do it right there. I should get rid of that. Yep. Then this FAQ page is part of this web page. So you just do this. And there you go. Now it's all one thing. This web page is the FAQ page, right? So that's why those people that are teaching to use the ad ID and put machine readable IDs, URLs in there, or machine readable MRID codes or numbers, your Google Maps, all that, they're all full of complete shit. I've tested this ad nauseum. All it is to tie the sections of the schema together. So if you use your Google Maps in here and you never adjusted anywhere else in here, then you might as well just be throwing mud on the wall, and it's not doing anything at all. And it's not tying it into your map. It's not saying, oh, go check out this URL. All the programming is doing is saying, this is this section, this type FAQ, and this is its ID, and I'm addressing it here, and it's part of this web page. And if I wanted to, I can even get even more granular and change this to website and add website schema in here. Let's do it. Why not? And there's a search box. We'll keep that. So we'll do Wilmer Rocks. Same URL. We'll keep it. Keep it. Add ID. I'm going to do it again. Keep it. Hashtag website. Search URL. That's the search string. It's the parameter. I'm not even going to mess with that one right now. And you can fill the rest of this. But I just want to merge to graph and see it's right there. Okay. So copy A. Structured data testing tool, new test, code snippet, run the test. Website, web page, FAQ page. 3 separate things. Remember, I've changed this, so we fixed that error. Boom. Let's see. I get some extra from going crazy with my control A's. So website. It's because I picked control A. Get out. New test. Paste. Fix. Site. I'll leave that FAQ. Website. Boom. Now they're all 3 together. There you go. All right. So now this leads into the question that Christoph had is, what is the value of using @graph? @graph, all it does is just, at the end of the day, it just makes everything easier. It's just all in one code. I could do this one, put it in the site. Do the FAQ, put it in the site. Do the web page, put it in the site. And as long as I understood and properly applied the ad IDs, I would get the exact same result as this by applying those IDs together. So is there any value over putting this into one over not? Technically, no. There's no value into it. There is some value when you're talking about people stealing your schema, because it's a little bit harder to do this properly. Like you can go in here and you can remove some of these squiggly lines and stuff, and you'll break the schema and you'll fight with it forever. And I'm pretty sure I taught that on SEO This Week before too, is using how to break down Yoasts. I know I teach it in my course on how to take Yoast, because Yoast is in the @graph, and use that as your starting template when you're manually writing that. I've eliminated that process now. You don't have to go to Yoast and steal their thing. It's already, you can already put it in there and ta-da, you're good. So, so we can, so technically I can just keep going in here and do even more, like article. We could fill in an article and we tie the article into the website, and it'll be, when it tests, it'll say article, FAQ page, website, web page, website, right? And you can keep going straight down the town with that. And I've just made that process a whole lot easier. So that's the tool. I know I've kind of glanced over it, and really only got an hour for the entire show, so I want to be respectful of your time. Right now, like I said, you go to rankgear.com/schema/login right here, and you can sign up. Don't go to the home page. I just got a place marker page in there right now. I'm writing the copy for it. But you can go to that URL, rankgear.com/schema/login, get an account. We're using PayPal right now. The vision for this is, once we get this all fine-tuned and you guys can come in here and essentially handwrite your schema using this tool, we're going to move RankGear on into other tools. The next one is going to be a anchor text evaluator. So you can look at your competition, look at their anchor text, sort it based off of types, and know exactly, if not necessarily which exact anchor text to get, but the types, brand, URL, et cetera, There's 15 types. And we're going to help you sort that out. And then we're going to do some keyword research stuff, and we're going to do some data stuff, et cetera, and make this in line with something that you'd actually want to use over and over. Essentially, everything I do in my work processes, we're putting in Rank Gear to make my life easier because, I'm a lazy person and I want easy stuff. And so Rank Gear is going to be that tool to do it. And when you sign up for the schema and then the anchor text goes in there and you're already subscribed, you don't get paid more. You don't have to pay more. But if you're not and you like the anchor text thing, well, guess what? You got to pay some more than the people who signed up when they got the schema thing, and so on and so forth as we add some more tools with it. And then we'll build this out to a great and wonderful SaaS business that will augment my work and my team's work and the team over at SIA and SEO Nitro to leverage for a whole lot easier SEO life, as it were. So tell me, what do you guys think? First impressions. Sign up for it. Check it out. I would appreciate to hear from you. Well, that's done. Let me go scroll up. Elton, have you done any tests on time required property for article schema? Could making time required lower on average, lower than the average time significantly to Google that the user read the whole article before believing? The question is, have you done any tests on time required property for article schema? Could making the time required lower than the average time spent on page signify to Google that the user read the whole article before leaving? Would that be beneficial? That would be a play on, well, first that would imply that pogo sticking or bounce rate is something that Google measures for every website and uses as a ranking factor. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they don't do that. Like the browser may give them, Chrome, for example, may give them some decent data or an idea of, but not necessarily the enough proper data to make that a ranking signal. So that there's that one thing. And two, a good landing page, for example, could be optimized and rank number 1. And it's a good landing page. So a good landing page would have a bounce rate expected of 99%, 99 to 100%. A 75% bounce rate on a landing page is bad. An 80%, 85 is better. 90% to 100, that's great. That's what you want on a landing page. So knowing that and knowing how the Google Analytics works, i.e., if you come to my website, you read the Digitaleer page and then you leave, I have 100% bounce rate because you left. Unless I have tag manager in there set to trigger other actions like it triggers on scroll, it triggers on a click of an external link and all that stuff, and then my bounce rate numbers go down. So I would think the first part of that test, to be fair, would be is bounce rate or pogo sticking a ranking factor, and I haven't seen any evidence that it is. So manipulating the time required, I don't see that would be valuable. But do they show it as a snippet? Are they going to show it as a snippet? They could be. So you could potentially add it just in case the snippet becomes beneficial. All right. Will Rank Gear let you paste your edit and screen it for edit from there? That's a good question, Mohammed. What we want to do, and the devs are working on this right now. One of the users already came up, and I thought about it too, but we just kind of lost track of it. But is templates. So Mohammed comes in here, writes out all his schema, kind of like what I do, right? When I write out schema for SEO this week, I have a template and I just go in and change some things. We're going to make it so that you can do the same thing. So you can go in here and you can go to your template library, pull the one out for your thing, and it's already in there. And then all you got to do is allow inline edit, and you can do your thing. You can just change the lines that you need to do it. And you can use inline edit now. As soon as you click it, you're locked out of the boxes. You can't use the boxes anymore. And then you click merge to graph. and you see that's right there. And then if you don't click that, then you can go in here and do another one. And I'll just put some blah blah in there. Oop, that ain't gonna work. It's too much blah blah. And merge to graph. And then you can do that. And then you can inline it again. Once you do that, you can't use the boxes anymore because you've messed with the default stuff in that type. So you got to go to a different type to actually come in there and be able to do some more. So let's just I'm just filling this in with stuff so we can have it filled in. Merge to graph, and you see, yep, there's a course. So it's in there, and I can edit, and I can't edit this. So it's locked, right? So, boom, now I can do that. So we got to fix that. Ooh, there's a bug. Mohammed, let me find a bug. Yes. Oh, there it is. See the selector is black. Like, who can see that? Holy Christ. So we got to fix that. All right. So to answer your question, if you write it, I would actually say drop it into here, and then you can add to it. Oh, good. You guys can't even see the screen. Well, that's good. You can't see the bug. You could write it, but if or paste it in, but you can't necessarily add to it in the proper place if you handled it outside of the system. But once those template systems are all in place, it'll make things a whole lot easier. Another thing that we're doing, because this came up, is let's say you have organization as your publisher, right? So as you know, you can put more same as and all kinds of stuff inside of the publisher. But right now when you put it in, it goes to we'll just use that as an example. It goes into down here. So this is not in line with the publisher where you really need it. So what we're working on is, and this is really just it's a code thing, is being able to grab that section. So I want to build out organization really well. For example, in this one in the course, I can drag and drop. Excuse me. I can drag and drop when I need to, where I need it, and it'll put it in proper line for me too. And that helps, especially when you're messing with the brackets and closing commas and all that madness. It'll just take care of all of it for you. So he should be done with that by the end of the week, I'm expecting. You put a lot of time and effort into schema. Do you see it as a crucial part of ranking better? Nope. I think it's a complete waste of time for ranking. I don't know why you would even think that it would be worth ranking. Hopefully you sense the sarcasm. Yes. Schema is machine learning. If you believe that Google is improving on machine learning, what do the machines need? They need more data. They need more things to help associate paragraph X with topic Y. The pause is painful. Etc. So, yeah, you should be building out your schema, and you should be building it out right. Here's the advantage that you guys have right now. Listening to me, listening to Terry Samuels, listening to Daryl Osborne, and a few significant or few others, very few others that are actually talking about writing schema correctly, is you are in a position where the machine is still learning and the machine is still associating. And you're feeding the machine what it needs, and you're essentially becoming the subject matter experts in your markets because you have all that extra data, and you're tying all that extra stuff in. For example, just using this alone ties into all of those other keywords. When we talked about Kevin Indig's and mine ranking for multiple keywords, you're feeding just this part alone, you're feeding all those extra keywords to it. you drop these keywords in there, these phrases, etc., inside of your schema, you're giving it even more. And it kind of carries on to everything that you do, because you can do keywords in schema. You remember the old meta keywords? Oh, no one's using that right now. Well, tests show that people are using it, and Google's using it too. So in some instances, and we're just leveraging that stuff inside of schema. The difference is you can, like anything, you can go full retard with this stuff, and you don't necessarily need to do that. You can be concise, put the right amount of information in here, spend some time filtering all this stuff out, cleaning it all up, and get a real good ranking benefit just from doing schema alone. And all those processes on page, real good on page, using POP, Page Optimizer Pro, Cora, Surfer, Zorro or Zora from SERPWoo, or whatever, Phrase, Market Muse, Cognitive SEO, SEMrush. All those are all tools to help you with the on-page stuff, right? And get your content to be the best content that is possible for your keyword. And that's makes it easier for link building. When you have the best possible content and you rank number 5, you have to build significantly less links than if you rank number 30. And the schema is the same thing. It's one more bounce to make it so that you get into number 3 or 4 versus number 5. And now you need even less links than you have to do if you were in number 30 and just doing backlinks. So think about it in that way. Schema is more than just, it's more than just rich snippets. That's what everyone talks about. Schema, it gets all popular, and Google's made this new rich snippet, and now we can go use this schema and get it and see show people how smart we are, and our clients will be so happy because we have the FAQs and the featured snippets, and they won't notice that they're getting less traffic, but that's okay because look, we did our job. We have featured snippets now. That's gay. And I'll say that's anti-gay, because the definition of gay is happy and glorious. And I'm not happy and glorious when I get a featured snippet. I don't even care about any of that stuff, right? I want to feed the machine, and you're feeding the machine with this information. You're tying your content into the machine readable IDs. You saw the example that I used with the Wilmer thing. We went and found his MRID for Google, and we're tying our pieces of content using schema to that MRID, so Google knows, slap it in the face with a big honking wet needle, that is what my page is about. And that's what you're going to do with schema. Alrighty. Whew. John got me on my rant. Thanks a lot, Sean. Okay. Let's see what else. What else I got to talk about on this stupid? I don't say stupid, but just because that's my crutch word on this schema tool. There's a link in the chat for you guys. Check it out. Sign up. I will be opening up a Skype group by request. I think you guys know I hate Skype. I was thinking about just doing Slack out of spite, but he was the first guy to mention it. So I'll do a Skype group, get you guys in there as you sign up, and refine this, make this a whole lot better, so that in particular, if you're a student of what ranks and you've gone through handwriting the course or the schema and gone through the course and know how to apply it the way that I teach you, some of the roadblocks and stuff that you'll run into. Inevitably, I ran into them too. The dev and my business partner are stupid responsive on getting that stuff fixed. Like, we pointed out some stuff on Friday, and it was already fixed on this morning when I came in. Is your page title? Yeah, the dev did that. He was all in a hurry and excited for us. But it's just on that one login page. It's weird. We were fighting with, it was in the, actually when you log in, it was in there. It was misspelled there too. And he fixed it in the back end after you log in, but he forgot that one login page, but he'll take care of that. The scope of problems that I have, that's not one of them. But it's one that everyone noticed right off the bat. Let's see. I'm kind of disappointed that I didn't get this on the podcast. So I'll have to record the audio podcast. If you folks listen to that as well, I'll re-record that and see what happened. I might have, maybe my audio memory card is full and that's what caused that sound issue. Who knows? All right. I don't see any more questions. So I appreciate all of you guys. Again, check it out. Go to rankgear.com/schema/login. Greedy capitalist that I am. We had dev costs and we'd like to pay those off, but we're not gouging you by any means of the imagination. And let us know. Let us know what you think about it. Let us know what you're missing in your tools. Let us know what will get you over the hump of writing your schema manually and get away from your plugins. And we'll build it. If you tell us, we will build it. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week.